Hello people of YouTube. Last year for 2012 Black Friday I got the Doorbuster laptop, did a review of it. It seemed to be pretty popular, so I figured this year I'd do the same. This is the Asus X201 that Best Buy had for $250 on Black Friday. Also again this week on Cyber Monday. And then this is a similar competing product, a Lenovo S210. Both are 11.6 inch touch. I am pretty amazed by the amount of technology you can get these days for not very much money. I spent less than 520 bucks for both of these. One of them is going to go to my brother. The other one I may keep, I may not, I'm not sure. Again, the one on the left is the Asus X201, the Lenovo S210. I've got their power bricks stacked up here just because I was really impressed with the small, compact, light, nice little Asus unit. The Lenovo one might be more handy if you're stringing it over to your couch or something because it's got some additional length, but if you're hauling it around with you, it's more mass and just more clutter with the cables. Getting into the specs, the Asus is a little bit down on the hardware in comparison to the Lenovo. The Asus has a 1.5 gigahertz Celeron, and the Lenovo has a 1.9 gigahertz Pentium. Realistically, there's not much difference in performance between the two. I've got both of them to play some basic games. Both of them, I've run this Windows 8 built-in little benchmark utility. So I'll pull the scores up there so you can see them. It's not built in, it's just a Metro style app that you can get. Kind of shows the various stats of what it's capable of. GPU wise, the built-in to the CPU GPU part is a little bit slower, but that's to be expected given the clock rate difference. There's a little bit of a performance difference here if you're looking at just purely specs. However, I really doubt most people will notice that. If I go and pull up the Windows Experience Index, that might give you a better idea of how close they really are. They're both 4.6s, I believe. Actually, I think the Asus was a 4.6, but then I refreshed it after doing some updates, and it dropped to a 4.5. The nice thing about the slower clock speed and the Celeron, it seems to consume less power. They both have similar batteries, and the Asus is rated at, or at least it tells you that it's going to last longer. I've yet to drain them both. I've been able to watch a movie on both, just a HD rip that I converted, and in doing so I was testing the various screen speakers and function keys and stuff like that just to see how I like the feel of those sort of things. One of the things that I was really kind of impressed with, I guess, is that the default function of the top row keys on the Lenovo is the function, not the F key. So if you want to mute, increase the volume, you just hit that. Most of the time when people are hitting those keys, that's what they're doing. Put it in airplane mode. That's a nice, convenient one-finger button push, even though you don't need to do that anymore. So, clearly they designed this before the FAA released their new press release. I'll talk about the specifics of what I like and don't like on each. The screens, I'll start with. The Lenovo just has a better screen, in my opinion. It's not as reflective, which for me is a bonus. Some people like the extra color pop you tend to get with a reflective screen. It sort of makes things appear to be more vibrant. That being said, I think the Asus's color, at least in the default settings, I haven't messed with it, is more true. The Lenovo seems to be a little over and under saturated depending on what you're watching or what you're viewing. The speakers, the Lenovo speakers, do tend to get a little bit louder at max volume. However, they suffer from a little bit of distortion. Not too much, and if you turn the volume down just to 90, it's fine. It's not a problem. The Asus's has the speakers on the front as is the same. They're both roughly right here on both laptops. It seems to carry the sound a little bit better. I think that's because the raised gap that you get from the underside of this. Get a profile shot there. How it curves up a little bit. The surface, I think, helps reflect the sound better. If it's a hard surface. If it's on your lap, it probably doesn't matter. The Lenovo's is a little bit more flush as far as where it touches, and then it's also got an angle out. The keyboards, I like the Lenovo's feel. It almost feels, I'll say, cheaper while typing, because you can feel like the chassis move a little bit. I don't know if you can really tell, but you can see the plastic kind of wiggle if you're looking at it. Some people that might irritate, but I didn't mind. The key fill and the depression fill while you're typing, I was able to type a little more quickly on this. The keys are roughly full size. I think they're scaled down a slight little bit, but for the most part, you just put your hands on them and start typing. Shouldn't have any issues like with a Surface keyboard or something like that. They have a flush-mounted kind of bigger touchpad on the Asus. I'm a fan of this. It was the same one on the laptop I reviewed last year. I just like this bigger size. It suits my style a little bit better, I guess. This one is recessed a little bit and is smaller, and it has real buttons. If you care about that, you may care that it has real buttons. I know one of the people that has one of the laptops I bought last year doesn't like this buttonless situation. So that's just all in your preferences of how you use a touchpad. Moving on to things that I liked about the Asus. It's got very little bloatware, as you can see by the desktop. I haven't changed, deleted, moved, etc. any of the icons on either of these, with the exception of deleting the 3D Mark icon that it creates. But that's the desktop as you see it when you first boot them up on both of them. If you pull up the start menu on both, scroll over a little bit to where you see the installed programs, you'll notice the Asus apps is stuff that you'll probably use, like Skype and Netflix. It's got a tutorial, which is handy if you're new to Windows 8 and or the style of laptops. A built-in game that comes with it is kind of nice, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing. Music Maker Jam. But all of those things are available for free in the App Store or Market or whatever Microsoft is taking to calling it. You can see that Lenovo's got quite a bit more stuff installed. Some of it useful, some of it not so much. And then I installed some games just to test the Metro interface games. So I'll fire up the game on both of them so you can see the load. As you'll notice, this one beat it. That's one of the things about this laptop. It's got a smaller hard drive, but a faster hard drive. I don't believe the specs call it out as being a faster as far as spindle speed, but it definitely loads things faster. I noticed that running the benchmarks, installing the benchmark application, and so forth. I've actually played it on this one, I think, so it doesn't have the intro. Anyway, it runs these perfectly fine using the touch. Just close it. The touch screen, as far as feel and feedback and ease of use and operation, is identical on both of them. I would suspect that whatever mechanism they use for touch, the overlay portion of the screen, is probably the same. I originally thought that the LCD pedals was the same, but as I mentioned, there is a little bit of a difference in the quality. If you're relatively close, you can see the lines of pixels on this Asus, not so much with the Lenovo. Even though the resolution is identical, I'm not sure what's the cause of that. It may be the pattern in which the pixels are laid out or something. I also wanted to note I had a weird kind of drop on the wireless connection on the Lenovo. The first time it happened, I figured maybe that was just a glitch or whatever, but it's happened a couple times now. I have a wireless in infrastructure. I have two different networks, a guest network and a network for my own stuff. I've tried it on both networks. I tried running a Wi-Fi analyzer to see if there was a lot of extra other networks on that same channel. Tried changing the channel, and it seemed to continue to drop. It usually did it when downloading updates or whatnot from the Microsoft Store, although it did do it once while playing League of Legends. That brings me into a nice segue for games. You can play the Metro style games. I think any of those is going to run fine. Any of the ones that I tried, 3D or not, they all ran the same. They don't run like awesome physics or huge amount of textures or polygons, so I don't know what sort of SDK Microsoft has for those games, but it seems to be pretty minimalistic, and the result is it runs fine on everything. I was able to play League of Legends on both of these. I was somewhat surprised at how well it played it. Running at the native resolution with everything on high, which was the default since I copied the install off of my desktop, the Lenovo was able to run, I think, like 22 frames per second, and the Asus was running like 20 frames per second. Again, with the default of high at native resolution. I lowered that down to low across the board on everything. I was able to play a game for, I would say, 20 or 30 minutes. It was just a quick 3v3 in both cases. Neither laptop got loud, got hot. Granted, that's only 20 minutes, but typically 20 minutes of gaming is enough that if it's going to happen, you'll notice. You'll notice a fan kick up, or it start to get a little bit uncomfortable under your fingertips as you're pressing keys. That didn't happen in either case. I was a little bit disappointed in that while it can play League of Legends, I could not get StarCraft to be playable. Just the menus, well, StarCraft 2, I'm sure 1 would run fine. StarCraft 2, the menu screen is laggy, just everything is laggy. I don't know what it is about that game, but these refuse to play it. Again, these are not gaming laptops. You're not going to buy this with the intended purpose of playing games. It's just nice that something that you can get so cheap is capable of doing something as intense as playing games. Not that League of Legends is a very intense game to play. It isn't. It's one of the lower end as far as hardware requirements and eye candy in the game. But, you know, for an occasional time waster while you're on the road in a hotel room and you're sick of watching movies or something, gives you at least that option. As far as that goes, being on the road, they both have HDMI. They both work almost the exact same way when you plug them in. That's probably due to the fact that they both are sporting very similar hardware as far as the graphics chipset being part of the CPU. The Lenovo has one more USB port. Actually, I think I'm saying that wrong. Yeah, I screwed up in my review. Anyway, the Asus has one more USB 2 port. If you are doing traveling, a friend of mine is a pilot. He loves little ultra-portable things like this. You get into power issues if you're running a non-powered hub. If you're trying to charge your iPhone and run a wireless USB mouse and, you know, connect another USB device, you may overpower the port. Aside from that, pretty basic little dudes. They both run quiet, nice. I'm pretty impressed. I'll probably follow this one up with a upgrade review. This one, the memory is supposedly not upgradable. I haven't torn it apart, but when you see enough people on the internet say that they aren't, that tends to be the case. They could be wrong. And as with last year when I upgraded the hard drive in the Asus laptop, it was kind of a pain in the butt. I have no idea if the Lenovo will be the same experience, but I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to give it a whirl. And I think that's about it. Oh, lights. While watching a movie, these are not as annoying. There's only 2 of them, and they don't sort of flicker all the time like this one does. I don't know if you'll notice. If you're watching a movie off the hard drive, this one just goes nuts. And if you're in a dark room, you know, your eye is focused on the screen, and this over in the corner is just blinking away at you. That was one of the things that I didn't like. Price. This was $250 on Black Friday. It is $250 this week on Cyber whatever at Best Buy, Cyber Week. This was $270, I think, Cyber Monday at Best Buy. And regular price on Best Buy's website, at least, for the Asus is $269 and $299 for this. So they are relatively close in price. I would expect that you'll be able to get a similar thing from Tiger Direct or Newegg or Amazon or whatever in that same price point. Let's call it $300. You might be able to score something a little bit less, but for around $300, you can get yourself a 11.6-inch ultra-portable laptop. They're not an Ultrabook because they don't qualify for all the standards, but you throw a inexpensive, not real huge capacity solid-state drive in one of these, like I intend to, upgrade the memory in it, like I intend to, and you'll have a really well-rounded, decent performing machine for, you know, well under what Ultrabook class laptops cost, which I think the cheaper ones are about $500 nowadays. Some final thoughts and recommendations. The Lenovo's down a USB port is missing Bluetooth and costs more. So I'm going to recommend the Asus. It's got a better webcam. The screen's not quite as good, but overall for the money it's a better deal. If you are going to upgrade, the Lenovo is the only way to go because the Asus isn't really upgradable. As always, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and have a great year.